Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Martin, and we're trying to make this channel about life and what I get up to after retirement. Well, it's been I suppose about 3 weeks now since the last vlog. It feels like nothing's happened, and there have been some sort of challenges in terms of life after retirement, but in actual fact, when I sat down and sort of worked out and thought, oh, it's about time I did another vlog, I've not done one for ages, thought, well, what could it be about? And then I realised I've actually been quite busy, but in spurts, in bits. So since the last vlog, I've found myself a new home, a new cottage. I'm not there at the moment, and I've not actually completed on it yet, but it's going through the processes, and things are moving forward, or at least I hope things are moving forward. I contacted the solicitor the other day to find out exactly what is happening. In addition to that, I've also gone quite a long way down the road to acquiring a boat for myself. It's a 45-foot long steel narrowboat. It's called Dukery's Poacher at the moment, and in a week and a bit I shall be going up to where it's moored, and will be sort of overseeing, I suppose, a survey, a pre-purchase survey. All things being equal, I will buy the boat, and then I've got to, or I'm going to move it a bit closer. I've managed to acquire, or secure I should say, a mooring a bit closer to where I'm going to be living. Probably about halfway between where I am at the moment in Wiltshire and where I'll be in sort of central Lincolnshire. But that's where I'll keep it for the winter, for the rest of the winter. In any event, there will be some work to be done. The electrics will need to be upgraded if I'm going to spend quite a lot of time on it. So there are things to be done. I've found a base where I can actually get that work done. Comes at a price, obviously, but so does everything else. And in that respect, I seem to be spending loads of money with nothing to show for it. So handing out a few £100 here for a survey on this, a few £100 there for a survey on the house, a few £100 here to secure a mooring, a few £100, you know, it seems never ending. And then when you sort of look at your bank balance and you look at your pockets and you think, well, what have I got to show for that? But hopefully in the next 2 months I'll have a lot to show for it. The big challenge, I suppose, apologies if this wind isn't being very friendly. It's difficult to find anywhere that isn't windy at the moment, either windy or pouring with rain, and I didn't fancy walking out in the pouring rain. Also, if I start to get slightly out of breath, it's because I'm walking up probably the steepest part, or one of the steepest parts, one of the steepest paths that lead up to the top of Salisbury Plain. I've been a little bit inactive in the last couple of weeks, so yeah, if I start panting a bit, that's why. But as I say, there's been a lot of activity. I've been sort of whizzing here and there, looking at houses. That was another expenditure in terms of finding hotel space for me to sort of doss down for the night while I looked at houses. Similarly with the boats, incidentally, but anyway. So I've been whizzing here and there looking at houses, making decisions, getting people online to act on my behalf, so conveyancers, etc, etc. I'm actually going to stop here because I'm about to enter a gap in this bank and the wind's going to take off again. So yeah, looking for houses, making decisions, getting people on board to help. Similarly, it's not something that I ever intended to do from the outset. I wanted to buy a boat when the house was all done, but through the autumn and early winter I was getting notifications of narrowboats that were coming up for sale, but almost immediately those narrowboats were sold. I was missing them, and I thought, well, I don't think it was panic, but I thought I've got to you know, I really need to sort of nail this down, otherwise I'm going to be waiting another year before I can get a boat, bearing in mind come the spring there aren't that many available, or you know, people tend not to get rid of their boats during the spring. So I started to look with a degree more of urgency, and this lovely boat came up, really good condition, at least on the outside. It's a little bit dated inside, but that's not a problem. I can deal with that. So I went to have a look amongst the other boats that I went to look at, and it really did appeal to me. There was a problem with it. I spoke to the brokers that were dealing with it, who then spoke to the owners. So I got a quote for the work to put, it was to do with the engine. I got a quote for that work. They agreed to reduce the price by that amount. And now I've paid a deposit, but now I'm waiting for the results of a full survey, which means craning it out of the water, checking the hull thickness, making sure that it reaches the standards that are required of a boat to cruise. It's being sold as a boat that can cruise now, so it needs to comply with those standards. Those standards are referred to as the BSC, that's the British Safety Certificate, and it comes under the British Safety Standards. So there are criteria that the boat needs to reach. So I'm going to have a survey done in early December, and the results of that survey will determine A, whether I just turn around and walk away, which I hope not, or B, whether there are still things to do which have to be done to make it comply, in which case I'll go to the brokers again and say, look, you know, this money's got to be spent before it reaches the standards that it's being suggested it has. Or C, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, in which case I'll pay the money up front and off we go. Then I've got 3 or 4 days cruising to get it from where it is to where it will be, and bearing in mind I've not managed a boat or piloted a boat, whatever you call it, driven a boat, since my late teens, early 20s, so it's going to be a bit of an experience. I'll take you along with that for that if you want. Also, I shall be going up to see it craned out of the water, and hopefully a blog will follow. I'm quite excited to see a sort of 20-ton plus boat dangling from a piece of rope above the canal. Probably as scary as hell, but never mind, we'll see. Okay then, so life, in addition to all of those to-ins and fro-ins and mass activity, has been interspersed with quite a lot of sort of hanging around, I suppose. Life seems to go on hold. It's in fits and starts, and it's in stark contrast to the working years, when you have a purpose, you have things to do, you have goals, you have objectives, I suppose. And with retirement, you know, there's no urgency with anything. I've spent quite a lot of time sitting down and studying 12-volt direct current electricity, because I know that when I get on the boat I'm going to need to do some work on the electrics, and that has been fascinating and really interesting, and it gives you that well, as they say, every day's a school day. You know, you're learning stuff all the time, and that's fantastic, but most of it's done sitting down, and I suppose I've actually stopped again because it's quite windy over the top of this ridge, but which I hope isn't interfering. But that's why I said at the start, you know, by the time I get to the top of this ridge up in front of me, I'm going to be slightly out of breath. Primarily because although I've been active of mind, I suppose, I've not been active of body. And I have this sort of innate, sort of inbuilt requirement that, you know, I need to have some purpose, and what I do needs to have a reason. And often I can't rationalise that going out for a walk is a reason, even though I know physically and mentally, you know, it's a good thing. But it's deemed in the back of my head, there's a demon in the back of my head that says, oh, you're wasting time again, you should be really doing this. So I've always been reticent, if you like, or I am reticent about getting up and getting out. So I've now today, and we're now going to enter the windy zone, now today I'm getting up and getting out, and taking you with me, mainly to tell the update, of where things are going, but also another one of the challenges that you face when you retire. You know, it may just be me, but it's an up and down sort of thing. So, you know, I wouldn't say some days, but some weeks, it's all really exciting. There's lots going on, we're achieving lots, and then other days or other weeks, it seems to not so much come to a grinding halt, but it just seems to go quiet, and then after a few days you start to sort of, your demeanour starts to decline a little bit, and then you suddenly realise, you know, you're feeling a little bit fed up, nothing's moving forward, when in actual fact probably lots of things are, it's just that I can't see them or hear them. Yeah, it means that you've got to take the bull by the horns. You've got to sort of grab hold of yourself, shake yourself into action, and get out there, which is what I'm doing now. But looking in front, it's going to get quite steep. I've also noticed, I can't see it now, but there was, because I'm heading up onto the ridgeway at the top of Salisbury Plain. There's always a lot of ordnance activity going on. I wouldn't say every day, but certainly on average every other day there's something going on, there's booms and bangs going on, and I notice there's a red flag flying up here somewhere. Can't actually see it now, but it was doing just now, which suggests that somewhere along the line somebody will be shooting some sort of artillery, or I don't know what it might be, it could be anything, I suppose. So we might hear some of that, I don't know. So that's where the mental state is. It sounds very first world. Oh, woe is me. I'm buying a house and a narrowboat for myself, but I'm fed up, which is what it amounts to. But from a mental state, it really doesn't matter what your world is and what your life is. If mentally it's not right, it just isn't right. You know, it's like somebody saying, oh, for Christ's sake, pull yourself together. That's just unfair. You can say that to yourself, but it's unfair to say it to somebody else, because the way they feel is genuine and real, and you can't deny it, you can't downplay it at all. So, and I'm not saying that anybody's ever said that to me, because they haven't, but you know, it seems churlish on the one hand, and I could sit back and write it down and reread it and say, for goodness sake, Martin, what on earth's the matter? You know, you're doing all these things, why are you so fed up? Well, because I'm fed up, basically, or I have periods when I'm fed up. You know, it's been a good thing to get out this morning. Yes, it's cold, it's windy, certainly looks as if it might rain, but hey ho, I can go back. Well, I can't actually have a hot shower because these boilers broken down. It's probably as warm out here as it is in the house. So, but anyway, you know, those first world problems again. So yeah, it sounds, what on earth's the matter with him? He's moaning, and you know, there could well be comments to that effect. Hopefully, oh well, I know the walk will do some good. When I get back, I've got a lot more reading to do on 12-volt direct current electricity, which is like going back to school. It's fantastic, and this bit is really steep. But that's good. That's good. At least I got my circulation going. Christ, it really is steep. At least I got my circulation going, and get to the top, blow the cobwebs away. I've got my binoculars in my bag, so I have noticed in the last week or 10 days, even in the village where I am in Wiltshire, lots and lots of redwings. Lots of redwings. Eve's house is next to the churchyard. There are lots of yew trees in the churchyard, and obviously yew trees have got nice berries. So I suspect that all the redwings that I'm hearing from Eve's house are emanating, the noises are emanating from the churchyard. Oh, that's really disappointing. I thought where I could see the top of this rise, oh, I thought I could see the top, but actually it's not. I've got lots of stuff to go yet. Never mind. Okay guys, made it up here. Yes, it's windy. Don't know if you can see in the distance there. Oh, not very good at this. There we go. You can't see in the distance, but there are some trucks. Some people wandering around, and I have heard some big bangs going off on the way up on the last little stretch. I don't imagine they're actually shooting large ordnance from here. Could be mortars, not sure what it could be. But anyway, they're having a go up here, so maybe we'll hear something in a moment. It's quite an impressive noise, but it's actually bloody raining now, so I'm going to stop and put my camera away, and I'll catch you later. Well, the rain wasn't, it was more a few spots than the rain wasn't all that horrendous, just a few spots really. So I decided to not to be such a wuss and get the camera out and film again. Yeah, as I was saying, there's been a few more pops and bangs while the camera was away. They seem to be coming from about a mile distant. I can see sort of plumes of smoke. It's quite difficult to make out against the grey sky, but there is something out there that's more than just a result. And then behind me, on the next range over, the Inver range, there were flares coming down, so I'm assuming that they fire the flares to see what the wind direction's like or what the wind speed is like, and then use that to calculate their target. Just a guess, but yeah, seems logical to me. I don't suppose you can get a real appreciation for how high up this is, but that is the village down there. Just there is the church. Eve's house is somewhere behind the church, although it looks as if it's just trees, but there is a house there. Oh dear, I sincerely hope nobody was in there when this happened. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Could be very messy. Well then, that got a bit blustery up there, so I think I'm going to wend my way back and get some lunch. Okay. Now you won't see it. You might have heard it. I mentioned redwings earlier on. Apologies for the wind noise. But in this tiny little hawthorn here, there were just 6 or 7 fieldfares just flown out. You might have heard the one that flew across the road. There's another one. I don't know if I picked that up. I don't know. There's a fieldfare. You're going to have to take my word for it, but oops, it is. And there are also redwings down here as well. I can hear them seeping. You may be able to pick them up, although I suspect the wind noise on the microphone is messing all that up. Well, that's me almost down. We're making our way back for lunch now. If you've enjoyed this or found it interesting, useful, and you feel inclined, then please subscribe. If you want to see any more, then ding the old bell, and if it's been any use, give us a bit of a thumbs up. Okay then, till next time, take care, cheerio, bye.